Very good afternoon to one and all. And today concept is about a simple code generator, which is the most important concept in code generation. And here, first of all, we need to know what is a simple code generation algorithm. What is a simple code generator? See here, and what the contents that are under the simple code generation algorithm are. One is an introduction, that means the introduction about the simple code generator, and the second one is an about register and address descriptor. Here we are having two types of descriptors. One is an register descriptor and another one is an address descriptor. And the next one is an code generation algorithm. This content is very most important content in code generation. It is an code generation algorithm. And next is knowing about the function get register and what the algorithm of the function get register is, and then generating the code for other types of statements, and finally knowing about what the conditional statements are here. That means knowing about how to write the code, machine code for the conditional statements. And now the introduction of the simple code generator is here. We all know the code generation is the final phase of the compilation, right? And with the code generator, we are implementing this code generation, and we are calling it as an automatic code generation. Automatic code generation, where it is a tool here where by implementing the automatic code generation, here we are implementing an code generator, and finally we're producing the output in the form of the target program, where it is in the form of an object code, right? So, and from where it is taking an input, it generates a target code for a sequence of three address statements. And here we're considering each statement and in turn remembering if any of the operands of the statement are currently in the registers, or taking an advantage of the fact if possible. And this is about a simple introduction about the code generator. And now knowing about simple code generation. And here we're making some assumptions. And why we are discussing this concept like a simple code generator is, and here I'm going to discuss the method of generating the target code from the three address statements. And in this method, the computed results can be kept in the registers as long as possible. So the input is always in the form of a three address statement, and by taking the input in the form of a three address statement, we are generating the output. We are generating an code sequence. The code sequence is in the form of an machine code, right? So here, whatever the computed values we are having, that means the computed results, those can be kept in the registers as long as possible, because here totally it is a machine dependent code. So here we're talking about all the machine language. And if the register is needed for another computation, then just before a procedure call, here we're having the procedure language statements like an, that we are calling them as in language constructs. And just before a procedure call or jump or label statement condition. And here what it implies is, means it implies that everything must be stored just before the end of a basic block. And that's the introduction about the simple code generation. And here what the next is, we need to know the reasons of learning this concept, right? So what the reason of learning this concept is, we must do. So it, after leaving a basic block, we may be able to go to several different blocks, right? So we may go to one particular block, or that can be reached from several others. Or otherwise, in either case, we cannot or without extra efforts assume that an datum used by a block that appears in the same registers, and no matter how the control reached that block. And to avoid a possible error like this, our simple code generator algorithm stores everything when moving across the basic block boundaries, as well as when procedure calls are made. So what's the problem here? Here we're having an important problem, that is the most important problem. What's that problem is, this is the problem here. What the problem is, after leaving a basic block, we may be able to go to several different blocks, or or we may go to one particular block that can be reached from several others. That's the reason. And here, if we cannot do that, if we cannot do that, that is, if we cannot without extra effort, cannot do that with an extra effort, and we need to assume that a datum used by a basic block that appears in the same registers, and no matter how the control reached that block. This is the problem here, right? So to avoid that possible error, problem is an error, right? To avoid that possible error, here we are implementing an simple code generator algorithm, and with this algorithm we can store everything when moving across the basic block boundaries as well as when procedure calls are made. And then, for example, if we can produce a reasonable code for a three address statements like this, that is, for example, we are having a three address statement a is equal to b plus c. If you generate the single instruction like this and add, we are adding the two registers, that is, already I stored this b, already I stored the b in ri and I stored the c in rj, and now I am adding those two variables. That means the two variables are already stored in the two registers. So I am using this single instruction for defining this three address statement. Right. This is the corresponding code sequence for the three address statement. And here we can define the cost of this instruction. It is a single instruction, right? So here what the cost is 1 here. The cost of this instruction is 1. And then, for example, if array contains b, because we are using two operands, right, b and c here for computation. If array contains b but c is in a memory location, then we can generate the sequence like this: add c comma array, and the cost of that is n, because the c in a memory location, if the c is in a memory location, then it should be in the form of an m, and the cost of the added cost of that m is 2, right? So, or or it can also be written as move c comma rj, add rj comma ri, and here it becomes 3, because 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Here the cost is 3, and in such a way we can compute all those values. We can compute all the instructions like this. And here we're having two types of registers. That means for the corresponding target code, for the corresponding target code, the code generator algorithms uses the descriptors to keep track of the register contents and the addresses for names. In that, we are having two types of descriptors. The first one is a register descriptor, and the second one is an address descriptor. And here, what the register descriptor is and what the address descriptor is. Just these two are useful for keeping track of the register contents and the addresses for the names while generating the code. And for both of them, we're following the two descriptors. What the both means: for the registers and for the address locations, we are using the two descriptors. One is an register descriptor and another one is an address descriptor. And what is a register descriptor? And here, why we are using this register descriptor? And this register descriptor is used to keep track of what is currently in each register. And this descriptor shows that initially all the registers are empty. First, initially all the registers are empty. Then it is used to keep track of what is currently in each register. And the code generation for the block progresses the registers will hold the value of the computations. And this is about the register descriptor. This is the most important thing. Initially all the registers are empty, right? After performing the computation, that means after performing the translation into the target code sequence, then only we can write in which register in the which temporary variable is stored. Up to that, the registers are empty. That means initially the registers are empty. And what the address descriptor is, and here this address descriptor stores the location. That means where the current value of the name can be found at runtime. And here the information is about the locations can be stored in the symbol table, and this symbol table is used to access the variables. So that's why we're calling that symbol table is a data structure here, right? So the information about the locations can be stored in the symbol table, and those symbol tables are used to access the variables here. And this is about an address descriptor. And next, this is the code generation algorithm. And here we know how to represent the basic blocks, right? That means the basic blocks are comprised of a sequence of three address instructions. And with these three address instructions, the code generator takes as an input. That means the input for generating the code should be in the form of an three address instructions. And whatever the expression may be, first what you need to do is first you need to convert or translate the given expression into the three address instructions. Then only you can generate the machine code. And here, for example, for each three address statement, always the three address statement should be in the form of an x is equal to y of z, right? And for if you have the statement like this, the name of that statement is a three address statement, then what and what the actions that we need to perform. And here we're having the following actions. First, initially we need to call the function. What the function it is in get register function. And then with the function we can decide that the location of the L is nothing but a label here. And then we need to determine the present location. It may be a register or memory of the variable like ny by consulting the address descriptor of the y, because here in the address descriptor stores the location, right? So for that we are using the address descriptors. If you want to keep track of the current registers, then we need to go for the register descriptor. And here where we need to store the locations where the current value of the name can be found at runtime. So here we are using the address descriptors for the variable y. If y is not presently in the register L, then what to do? Then we need to generate the following instruction to copy the value of y to L. And how to write that single instruction means move y complement L, that is y dash L, y dash comma L. Y dash is nothing but the copied value of y, copied value of y. That means here we're having already y from the three address statement or three address instruction, and we're writing this y dash only for representing the copied value of y. And same here we need to determine the present location of z, because x is equal to y of z is the three address statement. Now we're determining the locations for the y and the z. So in the second action I determine what the location of y is, and in the third action I need to determine what the location of the z is. And here determining the present location of z using the same method whatever we used in the step 2 of y, the same that we are using here. And here we're generating the following instruction like op is nothing but an op code, z complement, that is z dash comma L. What is the z dash? Z dash is nothing but it represents the copied value of z. Is it clear? And here what is y dash? It represents the copied value of y. As it is, the z dash represents the copied value of z. And here what the fourth action is, and now L contains the value of y op z, right? Y op z. Operator, it is an operator. OP is an operator here. Y op z. And that is whatever the computation that we performed with this y op z, that the computation value is to be assigned to the x, right? Because x is equal to y op z is the given statement. What the statement here is x is equal to y op z. So that is intended to be assigned to x. Whatever the computation that we get here, that is intended to be assigned to x. So if L is a register, just assuming that if L is a register, we need to update its descriptor. We need to update its descriptor. That is to indicate that it contains the value of x. Then we need to update the descriptor of x to indicate that it is stored at location L. This is the code generation algorithm. By following or by performing these four actions, we can generate the code. First, initially we need to call the function, what the function is, and get register function. Then we need to decide the location of the L. After deciding the location of the L, we need to determine the Y and we need to determine the object. Object is an operator Z. And finally, whatever the computation value we get here, that means after determining this part y of z, then we need to assign that to the x, right? And here it is intended to be assigned to x. So If L is a register, just assuming that L is a register, because here we're using the L, right? L, move y dash comma L, and the location of L. So if L is a register, then what to do? We need to update its descriptor to indicate that it contains the value of X. Then finally, it is stored in a location L. The value, whatever the value of X, what it indicates that it is stored in at the location L. And here, if Y and Z has no further use, they can be back to the system. This is also a most important point. If both the variables Y and Z has no further use, then they can be back to the system. And this is the code generation algorithm. I'm now going to know about what the function get register is. And here we're having an algorithm for this. First, initially we need to know what the function get register is, and then there are some steps to be followed for the algorithm. First, initially knowing about what the function register is, and here this code generator uses the function get register. Code generator is nothing but an automatic code generator tool, right? To generate the code, we are using the code generators. To implement the optimization, we are using the code optimizers in the phase of code optimization, right? In the phase of optimization, there I explained that for generating the optimized code, what we are using there, what we are using, we are implementing the code optimizers. As it is for generating the code, here we are implementing the code generators. These code generators uses the get registers. And what this get register function is, always it determines the status of available registers, or the status of the available registers and the location of the name values. That means here this get register works on the principle of, if the variable y is already in register R, just we're taking the examples like, if variable y is already in register R, it uses that register. That is move y comma R. If you are having an instruction like move y comma R, then we need to use the register R. Else if some register R is available, already it was available, so it uses that register, not defining the new, without defining the new register for the variable y, already existing register we are using for that variable, isn't it? And else if the both options are not possible, then we need to choose a register that requires minimal number of loads and store instructions. These three are the most important steps. For working of the get register function, we are implementing these three steps. And then one thing you need to note note down that why we are using this get register function is only to determining the status of available registers and the location of name values. For determining the available registers, that means to show, that means to know the status of the available registers, which registers are free and which registers are not free. So like that, we need to know the information. So we need to determine the status of the available registers there, and the location of name values. That means how much memory that we located for the name values. So these two information we need to determine. For that, we are using this get function, get register function. And here we are having the algorithm for this, and these are the steps in the algorithm. First, initially, just here also we are making an assumption that if y is in register, what it means is, y is in register means that holds no other values, and y is not live and has no next use information after. That means we are having a three address statements like x is equal to y of z. Then for this single instruction, for this three address statement, what we are going to return the register, we are going to return the register of y for L. And here what we are holding, and here we are having in condition C, it, the y is not live and has no next use of information after, only we need to implement this get register function. Or if you fail in implementing this step 1, you need to return an empty register. If you fail in implementing the step 2, if x has a next use information in the block or operator, it requires the registers, then get a register R and stores its contents into M. M is then memory location, right? If you use M, then automatically what the added cost of that M is, it is 1. So you need to use it, and else you need to select the memory location X as L. And these are the steps we need to follow when we are implementing the function get register function. And here we're having an example. Before this example, I need to define some most important points here. I need to make, I will discuss the most important points and you please understand those. And, and what the most important points here before generating the code from the given expression is you need to know what the modes of operands, addressability of operands we're calling them as. Here in code generation we're having mainly four modes. What are those four modes means? SR, IS, IR. SR is direct, IS, IR is an indirect accessing. If you are having S and R, S or just R, it is in direct accessing. What we are accessing here means S is when we use the X to indicate the value of operand in storage. If you want to indicate the value of operand in storage, then you need to use the address mode like an S. Or if you need to, that is by using the R, this R is used to indicate the value of operand in register, because this storage and registers are the two locations here. And if you choose a storage location, then you need to use an S. If you choose an register location, then you need to choose an R. For example, it is an indirect accessing, IS. You want to IS for storage, for you want to indicate the value of operands in storage indirectly, then we can use that it is an IS. Or address of the operands is stored in register indirectly, then you need to use IR, isn't it? And here we're having some fields for the address descriptors. What those fields means, already explained what the address descriptor is. The address descriptor stores the location where the current value of the name can be found at runtime, isn't it? So here this in the address descriptors having some fields. What those fields means, it consisting of mainly three fields. The first field is an attribute, and the second field is an addressing mode, and the third field is an either it may be storage location or register location, right? And what the attribute is, type of any operand, it may be operand, type of the operands, that means it generally refers to the name of the temporary variables like t1, t2, t3, so on. And addressing modes are nothing but it indicates whether the addresses are of the types like S. That means if it is a direct, you can use S and R. If it is an indirect, you can use IS and IR. And what the third field is, it is about the uh, location field. What it means is here it indicates whether the address is in storage location or in register location. And similarly for the register descriptor also we are having two fields. What those two fields are, one is for the status and another for is operand descriptor. And by using this register descriptors, just we are keeping track of the registers which are currently occupied. And what the status field is, always it should be in boolean type. That means it is used to check whether the register is occupied with some data or not. How we know that means, when the status field holds the value true, then it is occupied by the operands, or if it is false, it does not occupy. So the operand descriptor field contains the pointer to the operand descriptor who is having the latest value in the register. These are the two fields for describing the register descriptor and the three fields for describing the address descriptor. What the three fields are: attributes, addressing mode, storage location or register location. Attributes are nothing but the Attributes are nothing but name of the temporary variables, that is T1, T2, T3 and so on. Addressing modes are nothing but we are having only four addressing modes here: S, R, IS, IR. And the storage location or register location means here we're defining which location it is, whether it indicates the value of the operand in storage or in the register, isn't it? And status, when how we can define the status is always it should be in boolean type value. If it isn't true, then it was occupied some data. If it isn't false, then it should not occupied with any type of an data. That means it is empty there. And what the operand descriptor is, here the operand descriptor defines, it is a field in the register descriptor. Always it contains the pointer here, it always points out, that means it is used as a reference here, pointers to the operand descriptor who is having the latest value in the register we can use that register here while defining that. And before going to know the example, that means knowing how to construct the code generation, how to construct the code generation for the following expression. Before going to know, first we need to know these addressing modes and what the fields of the address descriptors and what the fields of the register descriptors are. Is it clear now? And now entering into the example, and see here, listen carefully, this is the most important example because this is a direct question. For example, the assignment D is a minus b plus a minus c plus a minus c. And how the question is, for the example, the assignment D is equal to, right? But here how the question is, generate the code for the following expression. Generate the code for the following expression. And here the expression is D is equal to a minus b plus a minus c plus a minus c. And this is the question, right? And now by taking this expression, first we need to translate it into the following three address code sequence with T1 is equal to T2 is equal to T3 is equal to D. This is not from the given question. This thing you need to do. This the translation part you need to define like this. That means you need to write like this. From the expression you need to write, and the only question is only the expression, and from this expression construct the code, construct or generate the code for the following expression is the question. And by taking this expression, first initially what the step number one is, we need to translate the expression into the three address code sequence. And T1 is equal to a minus b, T2 is equal to a minus c, and here T3 is equal T3 is equal to T1 plus T2, and here this a minus c was already stored with an T2. So finally D is equal to, D is the assignment variable, right? D is equal to T3 plus T2. This is the three address code sequence. Three address code sequence. And by taking this three address code sequence, now we are going to generate the code. And up to now we know what the code generation is, what the introduction of the code generation is, and then what is a simple code generation, why we are using this simple code generation algorithm, and knowing about the two types of descriptors, address descriptor and the register descriptors, and knowing about what the addressing modes are, and knowing about what the fields of each and every descriptor is. That means, for example, coming to the address descriptor, we are having three fields, and for the register descriptor we are having two fields, right? So by taking one by one translation statement, that is in one by one three address statement, we are going to generate the code like this. This is an example, and this is the translation statement, this is the target code sequence, and this is the register descriptors. That is, here we're defining the register descriptors. It may be an address, we can call it as an address descriptors or register descriptors. Here we're defining the register descriptors, and this one is about the operand descriptor. Operand descriptor means it is an register descriptor. And this is about, here we are having finally four columns. One column is for the translation statement, and one column for the target code sequence, and the another for the register descriptor. Here we are defining the register descriptors because this register descriptor contains the three fields, right? And this is about the operand descriptor. Operand descriptor, that we can name it as an address descriptor. Register descriptor contains only two fields. What those two fields? Status and the operand. Status and the operand. And operand descriptor. And what the address descriptor consisting of? It consisting of three fields. What those three fields? Attribute, addressing mode, and it may be in storage location or it may be an register location. And come, let's see how the code was generated here. By taking the starting statement, start with the statement number one from this. T1 is equal to a minus b, and writing T1 is equal to a minus b. Now we are writing the code sequence, target code sequence. First, initially we need to move the a to the some register. Here we are choosing the register R0, and subtracting the b with a, because in R0 we are already having the register, the variable a, and here we perform the arithmetic logic unit sub, and we are subtracting the b from a, that is a was already stored in an or not. And this is the target code sequence from the statement T1 is equal to a minus b. And now how the register description was, because what the register we are using here, R not, right? This register descriptor contains only the two fields. What those two fields? One is status and another one is an operand descriptor. And here R naught contains T1 because the resultant is in an R naught, and after writing the code sequence, the resultant is in an register R naught. And here in the translation string, that means in the intermediate language, here we are storing the resultant in an T1. So what the R naught contains? R naught contains T1. And here coming to the operand descriptor, that is address descriptor. Here the address descriptor consisting of three fields, right? The first one is an attribute, that means we're defining which temporary variable it is. Here we are using the temporary variable t1, so t1. And the second one is about an mode, addressing mode, whether it may be or s or is or ir. Here we are using only and registers, a directory register, so we are using addressing mode r here, r. And which, and where it is, what the third field it is, whether we are using the storage location or register location. Here we are using the storage location, and the name of the storage location is an r naught. And for the first intermediate statement, the code sequence and the register description and the address description was completed. Now go for the second statement. T2 is equal to a minus c. Again write the code sequence, target code sequence for this. Move a, and here I'm choosing the register R1. And now it is also in sub c comma R1, right? So what R0 contains? Here up to now R0 contains T1. T1 is in R0. And here R1 contains T2. R1 contains T2. And while coming to the address descriptor, the attribute is an T2 and the register we are using is an R1. The address mode is an R. And go for the third intermediate statement. T3 is equal to T1 plus T2. T3 is equal to T1 plus T2. That means here we are using both T1 and T2 are the temporary variables, right? So directly we are adding R1 because where the T1 is, the T1 contains R0 and T2 contains R1. So R1 comma R0. We are adding these two, R1 comma R0. And the resultant is in T3. So this R0 contains T3. R0 contains T3. And R1 contains T2. Isn't it? R1 contains T2. And up to now the R0 is with an temporary T1. But it was changed here because now the R0 contains T3, and the R1 contains in both T2 and T2 here in the second translation, that is in the second translation intermediate statement and the third translation intermediate statement, both R1 contains T2, but here there is a change in the temporary storage. Here the R0 contains T3, and this is nothing but an this the R0 is an status and the T3 is an operand descriptor here, right? And now, in the address descriptor, T3 is in T3 in R0, T2 in R1. Now, go for the last, write down the last statement. D is equal to T3 plus T2. Here, the computation that we are performing between the temporaries, and we are storing it in some variable, right? So, we need to use the add arithmetic logic unit add along with an load. That means by adding these two, because what R1 contains, my R1 contains T2. What R0 contains, my R0 contains T3, right? So here I'm performing an addition operation and my resultant is in an R0. So I'm moving this R0 to the D. I'm moving this R0 to the D. Finally, what R0 contains? D. See, from the starting, initially R0 contains T1, but here initially it is an empty. Initially nothing is there. Initially the register descriptor is an empty. And after performing the code sequence, then only we are defining which register contains and which temporary variable, right? Sir, initially R0 contains T1. Then in the second statement, R0 contains T1. In the third statement, R0 contains T3. Finally, coming to the last statement, the R0 contains D. Is it clear now how to write the register descriptors? See here, D in R0. D in R0. Why D is in an R0 and both in an memory location, isn't it? Because we are storing it in a memory location. After performing, the resultant was stored in a memory location. D is in a register or not, and also in a memory location. This is the code generation table. That is, from the given expression, we need to construct the code in such a way. We generate the code for the following expression. For the following given expression, what the first step is, we need to translate the given expression into 3 address code, and then we generate the code here. We generate the sequence code sequence here. This code sequence is an machine level language code. So finally, what we done, by knowing what the get register function is, by knowing what the algorithm of the get register function, that means what the steps that we need to follow when we are implementing the get register function, and by knowing what the code generation is and the code generation algorithm, what the actions that we need to perform while we are generating the code, by knowing all these fundamental things, and here with the simple code generation algorithm by using the get register, here we generate the code from the given expression. This is the way of writing the generated code, way of writing the generated code. That means here nothing we are implementing or nothing we are doing or nothing we are solving, just from the translation, from the 3 address statements we are defining, just we are writing the code sequence, and from the code sequence just we are defining what the register descriptor is and what the address descriptor is. If you know how many fields that the register descriptor contains, then it is very easy. It contains only 2 fields. What the first field is, it is always status, and what the second field is, operand descriptor. And coming to the address descriptor, it contains 3 fields. What those 3 fields are? First one is an attribute. Always the attributes defines the temporary storage variables. That is T1, T2, T3, like that. And the second one is about an addressing modes. Either it is an S or IS, IR. Here in the total 3 statements, we use only one addressing mode, that is R, because we use an register location. We didn't use any storage location here, right? Finally, at last we use the memory location, but from starting to last we use the register location. And here the third field is about the op- whether it is the defining the location, whether we are storing in an register or whether we are storing in an, that is whatever the values, those indicate the value of the operands indicates in storage or we should indicate in an register. We are defining that. If you know how to write this, how to represent that table for the given expression in the form of a machine code like this, then this is the answer for simple code generation algorithm. Nothing we are implementing or nothing we are solving here, or nothing computations that we are going to perform, just from the expression. First initially you need to write the translation 3 address code sequence, and then writing representing the table like this. And the table consisting of mainly 4 columns. One is translation statement, that is we can call it as an intermediate statements. We can name it as in 3 address code statements, and the target code sequence, register descriptors, and address descriptors. Is it clear? This is the most important question and the direct question. By giving and just example, by giving the example like this, construct or generate the code for the given expression. It is a direct mark question. Just nothing is there. First step, you need to represent an 3 address code. Second step, this table, code generation table representation. If you know each and every fundamental thing about the code generation, that is from the starting of this class, knowing about the introduction, why the code generation is, and is the final phase of the compilation, and what the input that we are taking for implementing this code generation. That is here the main role is for the code generator, not the code generation. We are generating the code with the automatic code generators. These with the code generators we are implementing the code, right? So the input always should be in the form of sequence of 3 address statements, and then, and if any, if each statement in turn, we need to remember if any of the operands of the statement are currently in registers or taking advantage, or we are using any memory locations, like that we need to remember all those things. By the implementation of this automatic code generators, they itself implement all those things, and they show the final representation in the form of the table. But here we are learning, and we are understanding what individual fundamental concept of the code generators is, and by knowing those, just we are manually representing like this. And and this is an introduction of the code generators, and this is the introduction of the simple code generator, because here we need to know what the problem here, and to avoid that possible error, and why we're the purpose of implementing these simple code generation algorithms only for storing everything, only for storing everything when moving across the basic blocks boundaries, as well as when we use any procedural calls, all and all, because here for the language constructs we are implementing all those. And next, knowing about the representation of the instructions like this, and then knowing about the most important descriptors, register and address, then algorithm of the code generation, and then knowing about what the function get register is, and then the algorithm of the function get register, and finally implementation with an example. I think you all understand the today's session, because this is the most important concept here. Nothing from the given expression, just these are the two steps we need to show. This is about an code generation. We generate the code in a machine level language. Here we generate the target code sequences. If you generate the target code sequence, then automatically the process of compilation was completed, isn't it? Then here, generating the code for other type of statement. For example, if you are having the indexed assignment or pointer assignments, how what the representations that we use it for indexed assignments and for the pointer assignments. Here for the indexed assignments we can use like this. These are the code sequences. A is equal to b of I, or a of I is equal to b. These are the representations we can use for indexed assignments when we are generating the code for the type statement indexed assignment. For the type statement pointer assignment, a is equal to star p. Here we are using the asterisk. Asterisk represents the reference pointer. So it is an pointer assignment star p, or star p is equal to a. These are the two most important types of statements here, and we're considering them as an other type of statements and naming it as an indexed assignment and pointer assignment. Just knowing how to write the code sequence for the indexed and the pointers. And the next is about the conditional statements. And here, if you have the conditional statement like this, if x is less than y, go to z, what the code sequence that you need to implement for that. So here for writing the code sequence, first of all we need to know branch if value. For example, if you are having the conditional statements, the register should meet one of the six conditions. What those six conditions means, it may be negative or zero or positive or non-negative, non-zero or non-positive. If it meets any of the six conditions, then only we can make the branches. Then only we can make branch. So here how the code sequence was written: move x comma or not, we're subtracting y comma or not, we're performing the jump. Negative is one of the condition here. So here we're forming the branches. And if it is in conditional codes, it indicates whether the last quantity computed or loaded into the location is negative, zero or positive. And here when using the compare instructions, how to write the code sequence for the compare instructions. For example, you're having the compare x comma y. This is the instruction that we need to use. This is the instruction set condition that we need to use. And here it always sets the code without actually computing the value. So it is positive. Always it should be an positive. If x is greater than y, and so on. And for the same code, here I am writing the code sequence. If x is less than y, go to z. So here we're comparing x and y, right? Comparing the x and y. So compare x comma y. It is compare jump L Z. Go to Z, right? Compare jump L Z. It is in positive. So it is in positive jump. So we are not using any N like here. Just it is in positive. That's why we are using compare jump LZ. So see here, we need to maintain a condition code descriptors. What it means is it tells the name that the last set the condition codes. And if you maintain the condition code descriptor means you need to know the name and the last set condition codes. For example, we're having the condition like this: x is equal to y plus z. It is a three address statement. And along with this, we're having a conditional statement: if x less than 0, go to L. See here, it is a negative jump. Here we are implementing the negative jump. It is a positive jump. Because without any computation, directly we are comparing these two. That is, with the compare instructions, what we are doing is we are setting the codes without actually computing the values. That's why it is in positive. But here, After this, we need to compute the value, right? After this, we need to compare this. After computation, we need to compare this. So move y comma r naught. Add. We need to add this z to the r naught, and finally we need to move the resultant to the x. And where we are having the resultant in the r naught, and the r naught is assigned to the x because the resultant is stored in a register r naught. So move r naught comma x. See here. See the difference between these two. Here I am using only compare. It is in conditional jump lz or compare jump lz, but here the compare jump negative l, because after performing the computing, after knowing the computing values, then we are comparing. But here without the computing values, here we are comparing the x and y. That's the difference between the conditional statements. And these are the representations of the code sequence in a machine level language from the given source code. And if the given source code is in the form of the conditional statements, then for example, you need to compare any two variables, then you need to use the machine code like this. That is the code sequence, the target code sequence like this. Or for the conditional jump, go to Z, you need to write like this, right? Because this is also in conditional, here also we are using a negative. So negative condition, we need to branch the r, branching. If the value of r meets any one of these, then we can call them as in conditional statements, right? And for any type of an statements like indexed or pointers, we need to represent the sequence, code sequence like this. And these are the most important fundamental concepts under the code generation, simple code generation algorithm. I think you all understand the today's session because this is the most important concept, a direct question. If the question is, for example, we're having the expression here, and for the expression we're generating the code, right? And we know if any type of an expression, now we know because we understand how to generate the code. Now we know how to represent the table like this. And from the question, first initially we need to translate the three address code sequence and then to code generation. And now if the question is explain the algorithm, explain the algorithm, that means the algorithm for the code generation using get register. And here if the expression is in the form of an operand, operator 1 and operator, operand 1 and operand 2, and generate the code sequence. How to generate the code sequence for this? That means we need to write the algorithm for this. Here we are having the direct question, like from by the given expression, just we are showing the code generation. But if the question is to write the algorithm, it very simple concept. In the next class I will explain this, how to write the algorithm for the operator operand 1 and operand 2 to generate the code, just by following the algorithm by using the get register. In the next class what I'm going to discuss is about a simple algorithm, the algorithm for code generation using get registers. And if the expression is in the form of operator operand 1 and operand 2, then by using this algorithm we can generate the code.